Hello po sa ating lahat and welcome na naman po sa isang learning episode ng ating Field Study Lecture Series. At ngayon po tayo po ngayon ay nasa learning episode 3 na. So apologies, medyo na-delay yung ating pong pag-upload ng ating pong learning episode 3. Medyo na-busy lang tayo sa ating mga other priorities. So ngayon po ay ating pong tatalakayin ang patungkol sa learning episode 3. And kung ikaw po ay bago lang dito sa aking channel, please don't forget to subscribe and like and share this video para maging updated ka rin sa mga upcoming videos natin dito sa ating YouTube channel. Yan. So, again, we're talking about Field Study 1 in this lecture series. And we have previously discussed Learning Episode 1 and Learning Episode 2. So, ngayon ay nasa Learning Episode 3 na tayo. And again, I want to remind everyone that this was based on the book of Dr. Lucas et al., published by Lorimar, and they own all the copyright of the things that we're going to discuss here. So, just a reminder and a disclaimer na ginagawa natin ito para lang matulungan itong ating po mga field study learners, yung ating mga future educators, na kanilang maunawaan at maintindihan o inyong maintindihan itong mga konsepto na tinatalakay at dapat nating malaman tungkol po dito sa Field Study 1. So, you need to buy the book, you need to purchase it because it was owned and copyrighted by the Lorimar. So, the learning episode 3, diretso na tayo sa ating discussion. The learning episode 3 focuses on gender, needs, strengths, interest, experiences, language, race, culture, religion, socioeconomic status, difficult circumstances, and indigenous peoples. So, basically, napakalawak ng scope ng learning episode 3. But if we're going to summarize it in a few words only, it talks about diversity and inclusivity. So, since we are dealing with different learners, what had been mentioned in the title of Learning Episode 3, yung mga iba't ibang differences, yung differences na makikita natin sa mga estudyante, yung individual differences, that's the term. The individual differences of the learners, yan ang makikita natin sa day-to-day classroom interaction. So, of course, there are some instances that you're going to meet students with different backgrounds talaga. Ibig sabihin, when you face 40 students in a classroom, hindi yan sila the same ng level of intelligence, yung mga capacity nila. Of course, the socioeconomic background, you need to consider that, especially when you're teaching in a public school, even nga in private schools. Ngayon, because of the scholarships that we have, nagiging accessible na ang education sa private school kahit na ikaw ay galing sa isang pamilya na medyo mababa ang socio-economic status. So may mga grants and scholarships, so may mga considerations na din. If you're going to provide, for example, ask them to do some projects, there are some considerations that you need to consider o na dapat mong tingnan. So, yun yung mga kino-consider natin dito. So, when I was teaching in DepEd, we have that concept of homogeneous and heterogeneous classes. We also have special classes, let's say for instance, we have the science, technology, and engineering program, the special program in sports, the special program in the arts. If I'm not mistaken, they have added special program in journalism. So, may mga ganong considerations na ngayon. So, yun ay ilan lamang sa mga kino-consider natin when we're trying to discuss and deliver the learning content in the K-12 curriculum. So, generally, this learning episode will give you an opportunity to observe different set of classes and to consider and observe about the differences that is present in a particular classroom. That includes what had been mentioned a while ago, yung mga gender, racial, cultural, and religious backgrounds, mga ganong individual differences. And it will give you the opportunity also to analyze and reflect on the practices that teachers are using in order for them to leverage the diversity in the classroom. So since teachers are handling diverse learners, ano ba yung ginagawa ng mga teachers in order to address the concern of diversity? Ibig sabihin, when you teach, hindi isang approach lang ang pwede mong gamitin. Kasi maaring mag-work yung teaching strategy na yon sa isang estudyante or few students, but it might not work to other set of students. So yun yung mga oobserbahan ninyo. So titingnan nyo doon kung ano ang ginagawa ng teacher. If for instance, he or she's dealing with a particular set of students, let's say a heterogeneous set of students. Pag sinabi natin hetero, merong mga magagaling at meron yung mga nagsistruggle in learning. Pag sinabi naman natin homo, most dyan, sa case namin before, ina-average, kinukuha yung average na students and then they are being grouped. So mostly kapag section 1, 2, 3, naka-arrange yung kanilang average at halos yung mga magagaling ay napupunta talaga sa section 1. Of course, the approach that we're going to use in that particular section is different from the approach that we're going to use in a particular set of students who are struggling when it comes to academics. So this learning episode will also provide you an opportunity to consider that how these individual differences affect the school. There are some instances kasi that let's say for example for the special classes, it gives them the opportunity to enhance their skills. Na for example sa special science kasi nakatutok talaga sila sa sciences and mathematics and language. When it comes to special program in sports, they are really focusing on the sports area naman na nai-improve talaga nila yung kanilang gustong sports and ending up with producing national level athletes. Yung mga ganong considerations. So, syempre kung yung mga ganong klaseng mga special classes ay mayroong mga positive impact sa school, of course, you need also to consider some na yung mga nagsastruggle naman, yung may mga learning difficulties, ano naman yung effect nun sa schools and ano yung ginagawa ng mga schools to address the issues and concerns that are being raised. And also, syempre, for example, yung mga gender-related issues, how do teachers deal with that? Actually, in the recent cases and the research news, marami mga ganong issue ngayon na ina-address, especially with gender-related issues. So, yun yung titingnan. So, the intended learning outcomes for this particular learning episode is for you to describe the characteristics as well as the needs of these learners with diverse backgrounds and identify the needs from the different levels of abilities, of course. Ano yung mga need ng mga strugglers, yung mga average learners, at saka yung mga fast learners natin. And to also identify the best practices in differentiated teaching to suit the varying learners' needs in diverse classes. So I have mentioned a while ago, there are special classes, yung mga ganong klaseng observations. So, pag pumunta kayo sa isang school, tingnan nyo doon kung mayroon ba silang mga opportunities for special education, special science classes, special programs. So, titingnan niyo yung mga areas na yon if that's available. I think we could consider that as one of the best practices of the institution. And of course, you need also to, at the end of this learning episode, you will be able to demonstrate openness, understanding, and acceptance of the learner's needs and backgrounds. As future educators, you really need to consider this. Kasi hindi pwede na pagpasok natin as educator kapag naina kayo, licensed professional teachers na kayo, hindi pwedeng hindi natin i-consider ito. When I was a first time, newbie doon sa field sa teaching, I was so perfectionist. So sa lahat, sa mga attendance, sa mga pag-upo. So at the end of a year, if I'm not mistaken, sabi ko sa sarili ko, I really need to adjust because the strategy that I am using in section really didn't work in other sections. So, yung mga ganong considerations and realization. And if you will be in the field na, makikita nyo naman yan. Especially if you will be given the opportunity to handle classes aside from observation. May mga ganun na ngayong opportunity sa FS. So, makikita nyo the reality of the classroom. Yan. Okay, so in this particular learning episode, you will be dealing with three major sets of activities. So, the first one, yung major goal nyo dito is to observe different set of classes with different particular time frame. So, ito yung mga learning outcomes na dapat ninyong ma-achieve when you do the first set of activity. So, you need to observe class in different time frames. We have the beginning of class, the recess time, the class time, and then write your observations. We have a set of questions also, so you need to answer those set of questions. You also need to describe the characteristics of the learners in terms of age, gender, and social and cultural diversity. So, parang profiling ng mga ating mga learners. Then you also describe the interaction that transpires inside and outside the classroom. In terms of gender, how do they deal with their classmates? Sino mas lagi magkakasama? Puro lalaki ba? Puro babae ba? May lalaki na may kasamang babae? Mga ganong klaseng mga interactions. And you also need to interview your resource teacher about the principles and practices that he or she uses in dealing with the diversity in the classroom. So, yung teacher na inobserbahan ninyo, during the class time, you can ask an interview, and then tanungin nyo siya when it comes to diversity and inclusivity, ano yung kanyang mga ginagawang practices para ma-address yung mga arising issues. And then you analyze the impact of those individual differences on learners' interactions, kung may factor ba siya doon sa pag-i-interact ng mga estudyante sa kanilang mga classmates. So, the guides and forms that you will have, of course, the guide on the learner's characteristics. Observe, again, you need to observe using this guide the genders, the need, strengths, interests, and other factors of diversity and inclusivity. And then you accomplish the observation report. And then you also need to analyze and reflect about that. The next set of activity naman deals with special classes. Mostly in this set of activity, the intended learning outcome is for you to observe at least 2 of these classes. I don't know if this would be applicable to all kasi may mga instances na hindi siya applicable sa ibang set ng mga estudyante kasi wala namang mga programs na. Pero if I'm not mistaken, marami na rin namang available na programs na kagaya nito sa all throughout the country. So, you need to observe SPED class for learners with intellectual disabilities. You also need to observe a SPED class with learners with physical disabilities, and a SPED class for the gifted and the talented, and a regular class with inclusion of learners with disabilities. You need to observe at least 2 of these set of classes. And then you take note of the needs of the learners that the teacher should address in the set of the particular classes. So, tingnan nyo, for example, for the class with the intellectual disabilities, ano yung mga issues na dapat na address ng teacher? Yung mga ganon. And then you interview the teacher to find out more about the learners that they have. Kung mga merong learning disabilities, anong ginagawa nila, anong ginagawa ng teacher to address the issues and concerns arising in these set of students. Then you write the observation report, analyze your observation data, and then you reflect on your particular experience. And the next is the forms and guides that you have for this particular set of activity, the 3.2 activity. You observe the differences among learners with disabilities, giftedness, and talents. As what I have mentioned a while ago, there are programs specialized for sports, for the arts, and for the sciences and mathematics. So you could consider that as a reference. And then accomplish the observation report, and then analyze and reflect. And for the last set of the activity, you're going to deal with the indigenous peoples. I don't know if this will be applicable to all, if there is a particular IB community within your province, but this is a suggested activity for FS 1. So consider that, of course, and then you need to observe a school with program for IP learners. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, there are schools really intended for IP But there are also other schools that integrates IP in the regular curriculum. So, but if you're going to conduct interview, let's say, or observation for a school that is under IP, ensure that the proper coordination of the university or the college where you are enrolled are obtained from the schools that you're going to visit. And then you write the observation report and then analyze the observation data that you have gathered and reflect on the experience that you have by answering the set of questions in the book. Okay, so you're going to consider also the guides and forms for this particular activity. So we have the observation guide for the for the particular set of activity, and then accomplish the observation report, and then reflect and analyze the set of data that you have gathered. And for this also take note that you need to consider about IP learners. There are particular set of schools suggested in the FS manual or FS book, pero I don't know if that would be applicable to all kasi hindi naman lahat na kaya nga suggested lang kasi hindi naman lahat ay nandoon at hindi lahat ay accessible para sa ating lahat. So kung ano man ang suggestion ng inyong field study instructor ay yun ang inyong susundin. And as final output, yung pinaka learning artifact ninyo for this particular episode is you need to consider principles of individual differences. So as you do with that principle of individual differences, the diversity in mind, what methods and strategies will you remember based on your observation in the future to ensure that as you when you become future teachers, you will be able to meet the needs of both the high and low achievers in your class. So make a collection of these strategies and on how to address students' individual differences, diversity, and to address inclusivity, and then put that in a particular section designated in your field study book. And then evaluate your work using the criteria provided doon mismo sa field study manual. Again, thank you very much for watching this learning episode, and I hope to see you in the coming episodes. Again, if you're just new here, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you and have a great day. God bless.